This is a demonstration of how we introduced our dogs Tessa and Brenham to little Wimberly. Keep in mind, both of the dogs that we are introducing, the older dogs, we know them, we know they are social, they have a history of playing with other dogs. Tessa more so is friendly and outgoing and accepting, whereas Brenham is my stronger female. Take into consideration also that Brenham in the video that you're gonna see has 3-week-old puppies on the ground. So she is making sure that the puppy is not a threat, not only to her, but of course to her puppies. Labs are amazing social dogs, so you expect a certain level of sociability within the breed of the lab when you're introducing puppies and so forth. There are other breeds of dogs that you need to go a different process than maybe what you see the steps in the program that I show you here, but you know your dog more than anybody. You know their history, you know their level of tolerance, and especially when it comes to stress. In this first introduction, we allow Tessa to free roam and investigate Wimberly while she's in the crate. I'm watching for body language. Tessa's wiggling, she's pretty indifferent. We encourage Tessa to go back over and say hi to the puppy. Again, watching the body language not only of Tessa, but of Wimberly. Wimberly stood up. They're both wagging. Very good first interaction. In this next clip, I am holding Wimberly, petting Tessa. She knows that I have something in my hand, so she's showing curiosity towards the puppy. I allow them both to meet each other to sniff. I'm watching for body language. Tessa is wagging her tail. She has her ball in her mouth, and you can see the puppy jumping up on her. If Tessa were to correct the puppy, drop the ball, give a growl, I want to stay as indifferent as I can so that the puppy learns to respect the body language of the older dog. Your job in these introductions is to stay neutral and allow the dogs to organically work it out between the two of them. At all times, you're watching body language, because if you do need to interject and separate the puppy, maybe it was too much for the older dog, you just stay diligent and watch for any signs that would show that the older dog is stressed. I'm walking around just to keep everybody moving. I will bend down, pet the puppy, pet Tessa, but I don't want to over pet either one of the dogs or create competition or jealousy between them. So be very neutral with your petting. If the older dog does correct the puppy, do not panic. The puppy has been corrected before by its mother or even another litter mate within the litter. Sometimes puppies can be dramatic, but again, just try to stay indifferent. I also discourage you trying to over pet the older dog or try to have both dogs up on your lap and show them equal attention. You can actually create more jealousy and competition by doing things like that. You have to be indifferent throughout this entire process and allow the dogs to accept themselves on their own terms. If it takes a week or if it takes a month or it takes 6 months. It's more important that the dogs organically create a relationship together without the humans intervening. In this clip, Wimberly jumps on Tessa's head while she's on her place bed. And this is something to know because Tessa clearly is uncomfortable as she steps off and goes back on when Wimberly leaves it. This is something to take into consideration around your older dog's beds and spaces and tolerance with the puppy. In this next clip, now this is 2 days later, you can see the puppy is still very curious about the older dog and she follows her around. Tessa is again remaining indifferent. She's holding her ball in her mouth, but I couldn't ask for more with the interactions. What is the best way to make Tessa and Brenham and Wimberly be friends?
Beat We try to ask them to be friends, but they keep not playing together because they're all by themselves and they just want to play with us. Because that's why we have to do this every time, so you can see what's the puppies doing, if they're doing bad or well. So we are the people who take care of the smaller puppies or the medium puppies. But we don't know yet because this one has this great opportunity because the puppies are really like friends but not the best all. So because they are best friends, they keep playing each other and wrestling because they will only bang their teeth so they can have the good observation for the puppies.
I like this video because Tessa is clearly relaxed and Wimberly is now not as curious about Tessa.
To me, a successful pairing of the dogs would be taking your time, going through each step and making sure that the older dog especially is ready for the next step, watching the puppy and each dog in the dynamic of the relationship, especially if you have multiple dogs, 3 plus more, you have to respect each one of the dog's acceptance of the new puppy. Do not set unrealistic expectations by wanting this to happen overnight. It doesn't happen for us with like friendships and relationships, so it should not happen with the dogs either.
Now you're starting to see complete acceptance of each other. Tessa and Wimberly are sharing toys, they're sharing space. Tessa's allowing the puppy to crawl all over her. She's also wanting to engage with the puppy and play with the puppy. This doesn't mean that if the puppy were to get too rough with her, that Tessa still couldn't be justified to give the puppy a correction. There still needs to be more learning and boundaries that take place as the puppy continues to age and develop. But right here you see Tessa in a completely relaxed position, rolling around on her back, sharing her toy, and the puppy also just being carefree to be able to play with her. In this clip, you just see the both of them being very indifferent, being very comfortable, sharing a space together, hanging out with each other in this outside run. Now you are seeing the beginning stages of introducing Brenham. Very different than what you saw with Tessa. You see Brenham's hackles are up. You also see the puppy walking away and leaving the fence line. Remember, Brenham has 3-week-old puppies on the ground, so she's also feeling a threat for her puppies. In this next video, you see them being more comfortable. This was taken the next day. Brenham's showing more curiosity. Her hackles are down, and the puppy is also showing more curiosity. This clip starts out with Wimberly and Tessa playing together. Again, you can just see that they have a great relationship. Tessa's rolling over. She's even allowing the puppy to take more dominant positions with zero threat towards the puppy. I start this by showing you these two playing, and then what happens is the video is going to move to Wimberly seeing Brenham and wanting to go over and start to initiate play with Brenham. Here you're going to see very different body language. Brenham's chewing on a toy. She growls towards the puppy, and the puppy immediately jumps back and respects her boundary. You see the puppy walking away, not being comfortable around Brenham. There's Tessa still rolling around, and now Brenham's rolling around with her toy as well, but Brenham does not have the same comfort and boundary as what Tessa does. And I love how the puppy is respecting Brenham's boundaries. I couldn't ask for more.
I do not encourage you to feed the dogs in the same bowl or really in even the same area. Give the dogs their own space, therefore you don't create any competition or resource guarding over food. Same thing with like high drive bones or toys. Don't make it a competition. You don't need to throw one ball for two dogs. Treat them as separates so that they actually enjoy being around each other and you're not putting more stress or pressure on the environment.
You can see after a few days, the puppy is still trying to initiate some sort of play with Brenham, and Brenham is actually warming up more and more to her, but not to a complete point that Tessa has. And the puppy is being extremely respectful of this, and this is exactly what you would want in the progression. I'm not going to rush these two relationships. It's going to happen organically.
The only time I recommend intervening is when you have a situation, especially it would happen around resources, whether it be water, food bowl, toys, even petting of one or the other dog. And you have a situation to where the older dog shows the body language to the puppy that, hey, not the right time, stay out of my space. The puppy doesn't respect it. The older dog then gives a correction. And when I say a correction, I mean a just correction. Either a growl, a snarl, even if they were to correct the dog with the mouth, I'm okay with that. As long as the correction happens in the instant, you know why it happens, but then it stops. The older dog doesn't continue to go after the puppy. The only time you would intervene is if the older dog gave the correction, did not stop, maybe was pinning the puppy to the ground, the puppy is screaming, and you do not see the older dog quitting, then absolutely you need to step in. And at that point though, you really need to reevaluate the entire situation and say, was the older dog truly accepting the puppy? Am I rushing the process? Is the puppy being too dominant and not respecting the older dog's correction? So therefore I need to step in and help the older dog's correction with the puppy. Those are the things you have to take into consideration. If it is the last one, where the puppy is just relentlessly being obnoxious and not respecting the older dog's boundaries, then yes, you need to help the older dog, and you need to go ahead and give like a trainer a phone call or start doing your research on what that looks like, because then most likely your puppy, you have a dominant puppy that needs a little help with defining rules and boundaries, not only with the older dog, but most likely in other areas in the house as well.